Here is Kevin McCarthy expounding the benefits of work requirements without really being able to list any of the benefits of work requirements, because in reality, there are none. Here's Kevin McCarthy.
What work requirements actually do, help people get a job. Every data point shows that, and it helps people move forward. So the public wants it, both parties want it. The idea that they want to put us into a default because they will not work within that is ludicrous to me.
And you're talking about SNAP, what program are you talking about specifically?
Look, we're talking about all the programs because it helps people get into a job. And what does it mean when somebody gets in a job? They get better pay, they're able to buy their houses, but it also helps our supply chain going forward.
Okay, I think everybody knows what it means when people get a job. And he's got to go to that because he's lying. He's lying. We know what happens when work requirements are put on, let's say, Medicaid. Why do we know this? Because Arkansas tried it. And two things happened. Less people got Medicaid and less people got jobs. That's just bottom line. Big part of that reason, a lot of Medicaid recipients are already in jobs. And here's the dirty little secret. You do not create a work requirement for people who don't have jobs now. You create a work requirement for everybody. And you don't just create a work requirement by spreading pixie dust. You pay to set up an apparatus to check that every single member, the majority of whom on Medicaid already are working. So you're not only paying to make sure that the people who aren't working don't get Medicaid, you're also paying to make sure that the people who are working are working. So all you get is less people on the programs that are designed to help them, no increase in employment, more bureaucratic cost. Evidence shows the reason why people don't work when they're on these programs is they can't afford child and family care. They can't afford transportation. They don't have a car, maybe. They don't have job training. They may have a history of opioid addiction these days, frankly. Work requirements do nothing for all these people who have deficits as to why they can't get get a job. This is not job training programs. This is not we're expending all this money on job training programs. You got to go through the job training program. We're going to retrain you. We're going to provide childcare. We're going to provide transportation. None of that. You know what does increase employment? Study has shown Medicaid expansion. Because all of a sudden you can see a doctor. And if you have some type of chronic illness, a doctor will take care of that. And on top of which, not only do work requirements not increase employment, when Arkansas implemented work requirements, they did it briefly, incidentally, because it was such a disaster. Their data showed that 8 to 29% of the applicable population failed the work reporting. Not that they weren't working, just that they failed to report it correctly. And only 3 or 4% of them were non-workers, not qualifying for an exception. So somewhere between 6 and 25% of the people eligible for Medicaid didn't get it, not because they weren't working, but because the process to report that they were working was too Byzantine. I mean, it's There's plenty of reasons, but all you need to do is look at Arkansas. You could look, I think New Hampshire had problems that's similar. I mean, he's lying. And if you're a reporter on the Hill and you know that's what the negotiations are, you would imagine that at least you'd say, like, what data points are you talking about? Can you give us some data points? Where are those data points that he says? He's lying. He's lying.